Are you ready for a show that talks sports from the fans' point of view?
We've seen Michael Jordan score 37 points a game in his era. How many could he score in today's NBA?
There's not a player out there who I'd rather have than LeBron James.
Are you ready for a show that isn't afraid to challenge anyone when it comes to sports? If Adam Silver really wanted to fix tanking in the NBA, he would stop rewarding teams by giving them the best chance to win the draft lottery.
I mean, how many times will Roger Goodell drop the ball on handling domestic violence in the NFL?
Look, athletes have every right to talk politics, but if the fans stop tuning in, that's their right.
Then you're ready for Talk Back, a podcast where two fans debate the media narrative and discuss the world of sports as we see it.
Welcome to the show.
It's time for another edition of Talk Back. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Nesbit, and with me is Justin Gay, your host and director of content. Yeah, we're through the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. They're both behind us. And not only that, the NFL season is behind us as well. Week 17 closed up with not too many surprises. So although we skipped the show last week due to the holidays, we didn't miss a whole lot. There was one thing that we missed, though, and that was the Patriots removing themselves from a first-round bye in the AFC. So we'll cover that, the AFC, as well as the NFC and what matchups might be ahead. The Eagles, do they have a chance against the Seahawks? Then we've got Black Monday as well. What coaching changes have happened and should happen in the NFL? We've got all of that and more right here on episode 314 of Talk Back.
We're back. It's episode 314. Finally get to talk some NFL playoffs. We've been talking NFL regular season now for 17 weeks, Eric, and we finally get to talk about the playoffs. Wildcard weekend is set. We're recording this on Thursday night, 2 days before Wildcard Saturday will kick off. And joining us on Wildcard Saturday for the first time since 2009 will be the New England Patriots after they completely collapsed in Week 17 versus the Miami Dolphins, and they lost the bye. And Eric, watching this game, Miami was all over New England throughout the first half of this game. New England gets the lead. All we've heard all year from New England apologists is how fantastic and earth-shatteringly good their defense is. And Ryan Fitzpatrick absolutely carved them up to perfection and did it so well he left them no time on the clock. And now New England, Eric, the team in the NFL of all the playoff teams that probably needed a bye more than anyone, all of a sudden have to play a Tennessee Titans team that's been playing for their playoff lives the last few weeks. So is what we saw at the end of Week 17, the New England Patriots of 2019 and 2020, where they just struggled to play? Was this a team that was sleepwalking versus the Dolphins, or is this a team that's absolutely going to be in a dogfight come Saturday night?
Very interesting, isn't it? This isn't what you would expect out of a Bill Belichick squad, at least not heading
not
into
this time of year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And not in this time of year. I agree 100%. And, you know, if you saw this game in, let's say, Week 7 or Week 8, Week 9 type of thing, you'd say that's a trap game. It's just a normal trap game where the team overlooks their opponent, especially when you're looking at a Miami Dolphins squad who struggled to gain 5 wins, although there was a time this season when no one thought they'd win a game or two. So winning 5 games now by the end of the season seems like an accomplishment. And actually, I think that's something I want to point out here, Justin, because to me, one of the under preparation parts of this game was the fact that if you look at what the Dolphins and Fitzpatrick had done leading up to this game, you needed to think as New England that they were going to put at least some fight into this contest, because this whole notion of tanking and getting the number 1 pick, that was long gone. The number 1 pick's going to the Cincinnati Bengals. So they needed to think that this team was at least going to put up a fight in this game. It was a divisional rival. It was a game that, you know, really the pride for the Dolphins was knocking the Patriots out of that bye position. So I think the Patriots just were underprepared. It didn't seem like they thought that the Dolphins would give them what they did. And so I think it's a typical, like I said, week 6, week 7, week 8 type of trap game where you overlooked your opponent. You assumed because you're the New England Patriots that you had a ticket to the second round of the playoffs because that's just the way that it's been. Now the Patriots, they've struggled against some of these teams. They haven't won. Yeah, they're 12-4. Okay. Good season overall. Another AFC East championship. But Justin, to me, it's a little bit also of what you said, that this is the 2019 Patriots. This is potentially Tom Brady's last ride. This is a team that doesn't have the star power that it once had. And so this is the 2019 Patriots that we may expect through the playoffs, in the sense that I wouldn't punch their ticket to the Super Bowl by any means at this point.
I don't see how you can. I mean, we've talked about this Patriots team before. You brought it up with Miami. Look, every time they go to Miami, they seem to have some kind of meltdown. They don't play well. If it's early in the season, it's the heat. If it's late in the season, they're not playing for anything. This game was in Foxborough. They had everything on the line. It looked like, okay, maybe they turned the corner versus Buffalo a couple weeks ago on that Saturday afternoon game. They got the big win there to get the division. But Eric, this is a game that they just have to win at that point. You're fighting for a bye. And to go out and knowing that this team just hasn't played that well down the stretch. And really, Eric, they haven't even played some of the upper echelon teams. When you look at who they've played, even from the NFC side, they got the NFC East. They didn't have to run up against the Saints or, the NFC South or the NFC West even. So
it's probably a good thing at this point, or Buffalo might have won that division.
Yeah, I mean, they just haven't really been challenged that well, and they've beat up on a lot of bad teams. Like, okay, they went to Cincy and they whipped them. Oh, great. Cincy at that point was playing to lock down the number 1 pick. I just think that this team is just, I don't know what to think about. Even looking at this game from like a betting strategy of where the number's at. Last year, Tennessee came in there and it was a different team then and got shellacked. But I think this Tennessee Titans team, playing with a lot more confidence. They can do a lot more on the offensive side with Tannehill.
Yeah.
Plus they have Derrick Henry once again, who has just come on for this team and, ended up having so many yards on Sunday versus the Texans backup that he won the rushing title as well. So you're bringing a couple, again, different elements in where, okay, Belichick, maybe he wants to take away the wide receivers, but what's he going to do with the running game? Are they going to be able to put enough guys in the box to stop it? We saw what Devontae Parker did to Stephon Gilmore on Sunday, where everybody's kind of been scared to challenge Gilmore, and they went right after him. And Parker had a really nice game. And you look back at last year's game, Corey Davis had a really nice game for Tennessee as well. He was kind of their only offense at that point with Mariota. And now when you put Tannehill in there, he can do things with his legs, and he can do a lot more in the passing game. So I think they're in for a dogfight. The biggest problem with them, Eric, is they can't score enough points to run off from anybody. Not good teams anyways. Yeah, versus Cincinnati team, they'll put up 34. But when you look at the rest of their games, if you're going to put up 13, 16, 20 points, you're going to let the other team in today's NFL hang around. Their defense has shown enough cracks versus good quality offenses that I don't think that they can pitch a shutout and think that New England's going to win a 13-3 type of game like they did in the Super Bowl. I just don't think that's going to happen for this team. I think that it's going to be a struggle. They're going to have to go back to that where it's just possession football, cold weather, try to control the clock, because I think, Eric, maybe they can get through this wild card week. But again, then they're going to be tested because they're going to be on the road for the next few rounds unless there's some massive upset down the road, by the time they would get to potentially the AFC championship games. So, Eric, I just think that this is just a different team that we've seen. We haven't really seen them over the last couple of weeks look that good in any game. Even versus Buffalo, that was just an ugly game. And to think that this team is going to be able to beat the way that the Ravens are going, the Chiefs have, again, just slowly just kept building up wins and playing better and better. Mahomes, you can tell, is getting healthier. I just think they have such a tough road that losing that bye and losing that advantage of having a week off and then a home game in Foxborough and giving them a chance to at least get to the AFC conference title game, I think all of that is in big time jeopardy now.
Yeah, and what's interesting, what you pointed out was the fact that they were at home in Foxborough, and you would look at that and go, okay, well, maybe the other team, maybe the Dolphins just ran the ball down their throats and the home field didn't play any benefit. Well, that's the problem. Fitzpatrick had all the yards through the air.
They did nothing on the ground.
They did absolutely nothing. 63 total yards on the ground. So it's not like the crowd was distracting the passing game for the Dolphins whatsoever. And so now you go up and you have Tannehill and potential rookie of the year, A.J. Brown. I mean, what are you going to do? Because this defense is going to be tested. And from what I've seen in Tennessee, I'm not saying they're a great squad, but they just took out the AFC South leader, Houston, last week, 35-14. So this team has some fight in them. And I certainly am interested in this game this weekend. I'll be watching it for sure, because to me, it's not a lock like you would have had in the past that the Patriots are just going to the second round automatically. I just think this game could be pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that people will look at. Well, the Patriots' run defense was great versus Miami. They just got to fix the passing game. The Dolphins are playing a guy that is probably their fourth-string running back because they traded Kenyon Drake, Ballage got hurt, Walton got arrested and cut from the team, and now you're at Patrick Laird. So you're talking about having the guy in Derrick Henry who is the league leader in rushing versus a guy that is probably a practice squad guy to start the year. That's a major, major difference in terms of offensive talent and what one team is trying to do versus another. So,
and I don't buy that anyway, because if you know that guy's a fourth string guy and they're going to be one dimensional and you still let up over 300 yards to Fitzpatrick, there's no excuses for that. Then you knew what their game plan would be and you couldn't stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's a lot of people that, again, we talked about this with the Patriots before. You don't want to overreact because this team has such a great pedigree. They have so much playoff experience, and then you're putting them versus team and players that just don't have a lot, especially in this wild card round with a team like Tennessee. So I do think it's hard to just write them off and say that they're going to fall to Tennessee. I do think this will be kind of a lower scoring, just smash mouth type game, because I think that's what the Patriots are going to have to do, because I don't see, Eric, that they have that element to have those big plays. For them, if they get an Edelman play for 30 yards, that's a massive play for them because they just don't have anybody that can take the top off the defense. And I expect them to have a whole bunch of trick plays ready to go. I could see them easily throwing 2 or 3 trick plays in this game, trying to jumpstart this offense because it's just so bad right now. They cannot move the football. They're not running it that well. Sony Michel is bottled up. It feels like every time he runs the football. If even the one run they had a couple weeks ago with Burkhead where he breaks loose, then he pops it out for a fumble. It's like they just cannot get big plays in this offense without doing some kind of trickery, or it's just not the same. They should have went out and did something different than Sanu. They should have gotten a deep threat, because once they got Harry back, he and Edelman can do a lot of the possession stuff. They don't have that element to stretch the defense out. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you would think, Eric, a team is going to be smart enough to say, okay, Edelman, whether he's healthy or not, we're going to take him out. We're going to double him, and we're going to make Brady beat us with guys he doesn't trust. We haven't seen that yet, but it normally is Edelman and James White that absolutely destroy teams. So it'll be interesting if Tennessee can come up with any type of game plan to take those two guys out, especially with Vrabel's connections to the Patriots and knowing what they like to do. You would think that those two guys would be on their radar as the guys that they have to take out of that game if they're going to have a chance to win. Because, look, Tom Brady is not afraid to give 20 targets to James White if needed. Yeah. If that's what it's going to take to move the football, and Tennessee has to take that out. It can't be a game like we saw on Wednesday night with Georgia, where they had one wide receiver that actually just destroyed Baylor. They couldn't stop him. And New England does the same kind of stuff. You saw it in the Super Bowl where it was just Edelman every single play. And it's like, guys, just take that guy out, make him beat you with someone else. So it'll be interesting if Tennessee, Eric, can do that, because I think that's the most intriguing game on Saturday, because I really don't know what to make of the first game. And it's an all AFC Saturday. So you've got Bills at Texans. Is there always an AFC South team or the Bengals in this early Saturday slot? Like they really put a team that no one cares about in this Saturday slot, it feels like. So do you have any interest in this game? And do you think the Bills can pull the upset?
Yeah, I do. I think the Bills can pull the upset. To me, this game's a coin flip. As far as the Texans, I mean, you've seen really from Hopkins and Watson last couple of weeks, I just haven't been all that impressed. A team that could have controlled that division, I think, because the Colts, we know their struggles, losing Andrew Luck at the beginning of the year, and then they tried to tie everything together with Brissett. And now it's come out that they're not really guaranteed